Space Ghost, famed 1960s superhero. After a long stint of unemployment, he made a glorious comeback hosting his own talk show. Enter the League of Enchantment. This charity group has given him a microphone, a camera, and another chance at interviewing big-name celebrities. Welcome to Space Ghost, live interviews from Earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show, Space Ghost, live interviews from planet Earth. Today, we're interviewing a legend in the comic book industry, Mr. Larry Hama.
Hello.
You feel the love on this set tonight, Larry? Larry, you started out your career a long time ago. I don't think most of them realize you started when you were 16, if that's right.
I sold my first cartoon to Castle of Frankenstein magazine when I was 16. Yeah.
You were 16. Started with comics in 16, ladies and gentlemen. Then you went off to war, if that's right.
Yeah, but before that, I was working in the underground.
In the underground, like underground or the underground comics?
Underground comics.
Okay.
My friend Von Bodie was editing a tabloid called Gothic Blimp Works, which was the Sunday funnies of the East Village Other.
Elkhart, Indiana. Is this crowd in line to buy war bonds? No! It's the grand opening of the Hall of Heroes Superhero Museum. The crowds veritably poured into this institution dedicated to honoring the heroes that have protected us through history. Captain America, several Spider People, and Space Ghost, who was being honored with his own wing in the museum. After arriving at the museum, Space Ghost decides to take a look around and get to know some of the other heroes.
You want to open it up for some questions from our guest audience?
Absolutely.
Hi, I was just wondering if there was anything during your career that you weren't able to do that you wish you would have been able to do because of editorial mandate.
Well, basically I'm a duck man, like Carl Barks, and that's the one character I'd always wanted to do was Uncle Scrooge. And I never got to, I think 3 different times I got calls from whoever had the Disney license, and we talked, and it seemed like everything was going to go ahead, and then they lost the license, and somebody else would get it, and I'd have to go through the whole process all over again. I don't even know if anybody is producing new Uncle Scrooge stuff, but if they would, I'd die to do it. The closest thing I got to doing anything like that was Bucky O'Hare, and I created that because that's what I really wanted to do. When they offered GI Joe, I jumped at it because it was my way to get a foot in the door writing. But even when GI Joe hit #1 in sales, I went back and I said, well, how about some other writing work? And they said, oh, well, that's a fluke. You can't really do anything else. And the only reason I got Wolverine to write was that it was on the verge of cancellation. It was doing so badly that they were really thinking of writing it off. And that's how I got the book to write. The advantage of that was when something is close to cancellation, nobody cares what you do with it. So they just gave me carte blanche, and whatever I did, I could do. And then a year and a half later, or 2 years later, when the book was like #2 in sales, I went back to editorial and said, well, look, I've got like the #1 book and the #2 book, haven't I proven myself? And they said, well, yeah, but, Wolverine is also a fluke. He's not like any of the other X-Men characters. That's not really proof of anything.
To commemorate the event, Reb Brown traveled from 1979 to sign his old Captain America uniform. He also had a chance to chat with Space Ghost and share some wonderful recipes for cookies. After talking to Captain America, Space Ghost spends some time on the floor. Space Ghost runs into Peggy Carter and Wonder Woman. My eyes are up here, buddy. The museum isn't just full of heroes, though. It also has hero memorabilia. On hand is the car from Iron Man 2. Space Ghost had a chance to sit down and talk with our gracious host in front of their replica of the 1960s Adam West Batcave, very little of which he likely remembers. But he does remember getting a tour. Here we have Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider bike from the wildly popular early 2000s film. Vroom Vroom goes the bike. However, the prize of the collection is hidden behind glass, an actual mask that touched Ryan Reynolds' beautiful, beautiful face in Deadpool.
GI Joe is told from the POV of an enlisted man. It's not told from the POV of an officer, but it's the POV of that particular era. It was more of a citizen army at that time. There was a draft. A huge percentage of guys in the army didn't want to be there. And I remember when I got inducted, I had failed 2 physicals before. Then the third time I went, they just lined everybody up, and they said, "Okay, roll up your sleeves," and we all rolled up our sleeves. And this guy in a white coat and a clipboard came down the line, and he looked at everybody's arms, and he said, "Okay, nobody's got any tracks. You're all going in." And one guy, raised his hand, and he said, "I've got a note from my doctor. I wet the bed." And the guy in the white coat says, "That's okay. We've got rubber sheets for you guys." And another guy said, "I've got a letter from my psychiatrist, that I'm a homosexual." And he says, "That's okay, we got a whole company for you." And they were literally just processing everybody through at that point.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done. Okay.
Hey guys, if you want to see
getting-
more of
we're
Larry
getting the
Hama,
axe
stop
here.
down at his booth and say hi, and we'll be back on stage later on with George Lowe. In the meantime, check out some of the panels downstairs and take a tour around the convention hall. Thank you.
For more awkward celebrity interviews, hit the subscribe button. Click the link in the bio for Instagram or Facebook to learn more about the League of Enchantment. Or if you'd like to support them and the good work they do, check out their website or Patreon.
Yeah, I would just jump up, ask him a question, land, jump back up.